Oh, the audacity of anticipation, the presumptuous notion that an introduction to a new world will be enveloped in layers of profundity and freshness. As I sat, poised to embark on a journey aboard the USS Enterprise in its maiden voyage to Deneb before, Encounter at Farpoint promised such a voyage. Yet it delivered a farce that would befit a secondary school's theatrical endeavor more than the flagship of science fiction television. Let's not dally. The very foundation of the narrative is riddled with clichés. The idea of humanity being put on trial by a superior being, represented by the flamboyant Q who has more semblance to an ostentatious court jester than a grand inquisitor, is a trope so overused that it leaves the intellectually famished viewer yearning for a semblance of originality. It's as though the writers rummaged through the wastebasket of worn-out sci-fi plots and said, "This will do." And the bandy. These so-called simple people with the inexplicable capacity to tap into vast energy reserves seem less like an enigmatic alien race and more like plot devices, engineered merely to move the narrative along without depth or ingenuity. The mysterious appearances of desired items are more reminiscent of a cheap magic trick than of an awe-inspiring alien technology. Now let us delve into the labyrinth beneath the Farpoint station. An underground maze that even a child with a crayon could predict serves some greater purpose to the narrative. Predictably, our empath, Deanna Troi, can sense something, a story mechanism so transparent it's almost farcical. The large alien craft, the older Bandy settlement's assault, and the subsequent abduction of our somewhat tepid host Groppler Zorn only further propagate the growing sentiment that this episode is constructed with bricks of banality. But if we are to seek a glimmer of redemption, and trust me, it's a scant glimmer, it comes in the form of Data. The android, with his platinum locks and perplexing facial expressions, exudes a captivating eeriness. Unlike the fully realized character we come to know in later episodes, this version of Data is slightly off-kilter, both in appearance and demeanor. He appears as a rough draft of an android, an uncanny valley incarnate, and in that lies the episode's only redeeming quality. There's an odd, haunting beauty in seeing this proto-Data, an unrefined gem amidst a sea of mediocrity. Lastly, the climax, or should I say the damp squib masquerading as a climax. Two gigantic spacefaring jellyfish, their reunion overseen by the mighty Starship Enterprise, and the troublesome Q. The moral dilemma, if one can even label it as such, is resolved with the kind of simplicity one might reserve for teaching morality to preschoolers. And our omnipotent trickster Q. His promise of a future encounter seems more like a threat given the episode's disappointments. To the astute viewer, Encounter at Farpoint suffers from the sin of unoriginality, lackluster characterization, and a narrative so see-through that it might as well have been spun from the finest transparent aluminum. Yet for those who persevere, the curious strangeness of Data provides a modicum of consolation. One can only hope, for the sake of the USS Enterprise and her crew, that the universe they traverse will offer more compelling tales than this woeful introduction.